Good morning, everyone. I see some people starting to check in. That's wonderful. Welcome. My name is Gordon. We'll begin in just about 2 minutes or so. We're going to give everyone a second to get themselves logged in, get themselves set up, get their audio ready to go, and then we will begin in just about 2 minutes. Thanks for your patience. Okay, I still see some people getting logged in. That's wonderful. We're very excited that you're here. We're going to begin in just about a minute and a half or so. We're going to begin right at 9:03 by my clock. And so as we're getting settled in, I just a couple of housekeeping items. If people do have questions for today's session, they can go ahead and use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will be taking questions throughout the session today. So if you make sure you see that at the bottom there. And like I said, we'll begin in just about 1 minute. Okay, I still see a few more people getting logged in. That's great. Okay. Still see a few more people getting set up here. That's wonderful. Excellent. I still see some more people popping in. That's great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves started. I keep my promise at 9:03. Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Gordon Berridge. I'm the Senior Associate Director here at Bentley University, the McCallum Graduate School of Business. I am very excited to welcome everybody to today's session on how Bentley's MSF program prepares you for the future of finance. We have a very, very exciting panel for everybody today. I'm really excited to get to our panel, but I do just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items, talk a little bit about Bentley for a quick 30 seconds before I kick it over to my colleagues. So first things first, today's session is being recorded. So you will have access to this recording later on if you want to go back and review and listen to some of these great panel discussions. I do also want to remind everybody that we will be taking questions. So at the bottom of your screen or on the bottom of your phone, there is a Q&A button where you can go ahead and submit your questions for today's panel. We will be answering those throughout the session today. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about Bentley University. So Bentley University is a global institution with over 67,000 alumni all around the world. We are currently ranked as the number 11th best college in the United States by the Wall Street Journal this year in 2025. We also continue our streak of being one of the best MSF programs in the US by the Financial Times, currently ranked at number 4. Very excited to continue that. We also do have some amazing partnerships with leading international finance programs in institutions and companies all around the world. I'm sure Emma and Professor Florin will be talking a little bit about that today. So we have these amazing programs, so I'm not going to delay it any further. I'm going to get to what you're really here to do, is to hear from my amazing colleagues and amazing friends here at Bentley University. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce Emma Emmer. Emma is our Director of Strategic Programs in the Division of Strategy and Innovation. She works very closely with all our professors, so I'm very excited to have her moderate today's session. So without any further ado, I'm going to toss it right over to Emma. Emma, all you.
Thanks, Gordon. Good morning, everyone. We're thrilled to have you on the line. I always love a chance to talk to Florin about the MSF, so this is a great joy for me, and we're thrilled to have you here. As Gordon mentioned, we're here today to talk about our incredible Masters in Finance program. I know rankings aren't everything, but you can get a sense very quickly that our program is extraordinary. Yes, it is ranked number 4 right now. At very recently, it was ranked number 2. Those things kind of fluctuate over time, so you get a sense that this has always been a top 5 finance program. Our expert who's here with us today is the program director for the MSF, Florin. And so, Florin, I'd love for you to start by introducing yourself, letting folks know your professional trajectory and your time here at Bentley, and then we'll dive into some features of the program.
Good morning. My name is Florin Morrison. I'm teaching derivatives. That's my main subject of interest. I also teach international finance. Um, Happen to be the director of the MSF program and also the undergrad program, Advanced Indian Finance ASF. Um, in terms of my background, well, I would say it's an interesting career. I'm a physicist by training. Then I spent some time in consulting with McKinsey and Company. After that, I crossed into equity research, portfolio management with various companies, including Sanford Bernstein, Citigroup, Blackstone. Nowadays, I'm still consulting for a group started by some former colleagues from Blackstone, but as years goes by, I'm more and more involved with teaching. So that's actually probably my entire life. I dreamt of being a teacher. My mom was a teacher too, so it makes a lot of sense. But that's good, I would say, because half of the faculty that teaches at Bentley are coming from an industry and have a profile more or less similar with mine. So experience in the industry and then teaching at Bentley. On the undergrad side, we are privileged to have, for example, 2 retired portfolio managers from Fidelity who also happen to be alumni of Bentley. And sometimes I joke with students, look, that's the best combination. It's like uh, learning to play baseball from some retired Red Sox player. It cannot get better than that. So that's about me.
Awesome. Well, Florin, let's dive right in. And I know Gordon has reminded folks, if you on the line have any questions for Florin, please put them in the Q&A feature. We'll make sure to get to them. But I have a series of questions first. So, Florin, let's talk a little bit about what you just mentioned, which is something, about 50% of the faculty that teach within the Masters of Finance or in the finance department are former practitioners, and 50% are kind of career academics that are doing research in the finance field. Can you help us understand how that benefits our students, particularly as kind of the world of finance shifts, changes? What benefit does it give students to have that mix of faculty members?
It is great that 50% of the faculty are coming from the regular academic pipeline. We are very serious. The school is very serious about academic research, and which is essential in being promoted and making progress on the academic pipeline. On the other hand, we benefit from the experience of um teachers who come from the industry. They are very up to date with what's going on, and they're a good resource for students to learn how things are going on in the real life. It doesn't matter what they are teaching. I guess it's beneficial for our students to just interact with them, to see how they talk, what topics they choose to emphasize, how they react to the economic news, and even how they get out of a tight spot. Well, when you ask them a difficult question, right, where they don't quite know. Um, the correct answer, how they make the choices, how they make a judgment in a certain situation. So it is something that is not taught in books. It is something that is the result of accumulated experience over the years, and it helps students when they go to a job interview to be able to talk shop. No, it's when you go to a job interview, it's not only about knowing all the formulas and having good grades, which is very important. It's also having this common sense, this ability to talk shop, to convince your the hiring manager that you belong to the team. You are the part of the person who just hit the ground running and be a successful contributor from the beginning.
Yeah, that sounds, Florin, what you just mentioned about faculty being able to really help those that have been in industry to really help with job placement and kind of the interview process really resonates with me. I know that in the finance department, Florin and I had the great pleasure of talking to some alums a handful of months ago who spoke about how mentorship for them in the MSF from the faculty perspective really helped guide their career path. And some of that was faculty members opening doors for them because of their connections to industry, or as Florin is saying, giving you the leg up on how to interview and what does that look like. I'm thinking specifically, Florin, of Steve Wasserman, one of our faculty members. He writes a lot for Forbes about the hiring process in the finance industry. And if I have a moment, I'll put the link in the chat because I do think his industry knowledge really benefits from speaking to our alums. They've told me stories specific to him, them navigate the career process. I don't know if you have any thoughts specific to that.
It's not only about opening doors for alumni, it's actually pointing to the doors
Ah,
they should knock at and preparing them to make a good appearance, to make a good first impression when they knock at those doors. That's also important because we kind of know where where the good places are and how a candidate would what would be best for a candidate. In Harry Potter, they have that sorting hat at the
totally.
beginning. In a way, we're all a bit like the sorting hat. You talk to a candidate, you talk about their background, you had them in their class, and they say, "Oh, you are a Gryffindor," you know. So I would say it's helpful to have somebody who had been in the industry because we had classmates, we had young members joining our teams, and we kind of recognize who would fit where.
Yeah, that makes complete sense, Florin. Let's use that as a jumping off point a little bit in thinking about the curriculum and how the curriculum prepares folks for lots of different pathways. So again, in speaking to our alums who've gone through the MSF, they are able to both identify places where they want to go deep, but also stay kind of generalist to go lots of different directions if that's the path that they choose to take. And I'm curious if you could speak to we see changes in the finance landscape. We see opportunities for folks to go in different directions. How is Bentley's curriculum well suited to helping folks sort into their correct places? And how does it shift and change the curriculum over time? Or what is the kind of adjustments you all have been thinking about in order to make sure folks are really well set up for the career path that they're looking for?
I mean, obviously, we teach the traditional core fundamentals. I cannot see somebody being in finance and not knowing well what stocks are, what bonds are, what derivatives are. But we are quite attuned to the changes in finance. I mean, finance has always changed. It's one of the most dynamic industries, and obviously we keep pace with it. There are several ways we keep pace. One, we strive to make our classes be in line with the requirements of different professional certifications like the financial risk management or the charter financial analyst CFA, which I encourage anyone to try to pursue to consider, even if they don't come to Bentley. It's a good thing to have. Just keep in mind, it's free advice. Um, uh, we try to stay in line with those things, and also we follow major trends. So if one joins Bentley, well, that person could do the regular Master of Science in Finance track, which has a certain set of classes which are required and many electives. And we're quite flexible. If somebody comes with a background, in a certain specialty of finance, and they come to me and says, look, this is what I do all day at work. Do I need to take an extra class? And I say, okay, fine, let's find something else. Within respecting the rules, respecting, the general criteria for the program, but still offering some flexibility, some reasonable adjustments that make sense. We have a track which has been quite successful, also being STEM, right? More favorable for students from abroad in terms of immigration requirements, which is called the Financial Analytics track, which is a variant of the regular Master of Science in Finance track. And I'm also proud to announce that we just got approved a track in wealth management and financial planning. You'd be surprised. You think that computers today are doing all this financial planning. You may have heard of robo-advisors and whatnot, and you may have also figured out that the AI and all these technologies is here to eat our lunch. But you'd be surprised that actually there is a shortage of financial advisors. I've heard it. We heard it from our conversation with partners like Fidelity. I've read it in materials from my first firm at McKinsey. It is a reality. So this is one brand new track that has been developed. We also are working. We are almost done with something which is called finance and technology, also known fintech, right? Wall Street has always been on the forefront of using technology. You can look at these firms. You can say, well, they're also giant technology firms. They are the forefront of innovation in the industry, and we try to stay ahead of that. So we have this track in partnership with the computer science department, where we teach basic finance, the rules of finance. We teach a little bit more about financial institutions, and we get students to do more programming, understand more new technologies that are applied to fintech, even try to have some ideas, to test some ideas of doing some innovation in the field. So we have at least 3, and possibly we'll consider more as we see demand in the market. I would try to emphasize that finance as a profession is not only for the nerdy types, the number crunchers. It's actually very diverse in terms of the background of people that could do finance. There is a need for somebody with, a general knowledge about the world, with people skills, with we had students like that who didn't have a background in finance. They had maybe international relations or some other liberal arts major, and they took the basics classes, and actually they completed successful the programs. There is a need in financial institutions for that type of personality that can relate, that has empathy, that can relate to clients and brings in the money. And then the number crunchers, we're going to invest them and do what else is not. If somebody is more interested into being really good at mathematics, calculus, derivatives, there is a work for them in risk management. But also there is a work for them in risk management if you are very meticulous and you are really good at doing compliance work, making sure everything is in the right place and all the regulations are being obeyed. So if you are interested, for example, in sustainability, in some of course, we have classes that cater to that type of interest. We have 2 big investment groups. One is Bentley Investment Group. One it's called Bentley Sustainable Investment Groups, where the students actually invest real money. And We have a wonderful trading room, which has the latest technology. And again, that's a good opportunity to stay in tune with what is going on in finance.
Yeah. Yeah, Florin, I'd love to jump in on that. You and I spoke late yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about the trading room and even how you use it in your class or how students are engaging the trading room, but also major data sets and major other kind of computer programs that are used within the finance industry. Can you tell us a little bit about those hands-on experiences that students are getting in their academic space, and then also how they sometimes use them outside of the academic space? And again, why is that meaningful for our students? What are they getting access to?
I would say it's essential to have these technical skills, and we have, as I said, a well-stocked trading room with the latest technology. There is no difference between the Bloomberg I use in the trading room and the Bloomberg I used in consulting, and it's quite expensive. I'm sure the founder of the trading room, Professor Sultan, the chair of the department, is getting it a little bit cheaper, but it costs like $25,000 a seat, right, to have it the professional. And it would be a shame not to use it, not to have our students being to use Bloomberg right away. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you something from my experience. When you go and apply for a job, right, there are these open questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your leadership about this and that? But I'm telling you, in the back of the mind of the hiring manager, there is this question. Look, I have this project starting in 2 weeks. Can this person help me or not? Right? They can
Mhm.
say all the great words about leadership and their goals and whatnot, are very important. I'm not diminishing that. But you have to show me that you know the technology somehow. If I get the vibe that you are good with the numbers and I'm going to give you a project and you'll collect the data, do the charts, come with some preliminary conclusions, you are in. Even if there is no job, I'll find one for you, right? So if you have this ability, you show me this maturity of understanding what's going on in the market. Just to give you an example, right? In problem sets, in textbooks, they talk about the risk-free rate, right? It's the rate at which Uncle Sam is borrowing money, which is considered risk-free rate. Uncle Sam is going to pay the money back and whatnot, right? And usually in the problem sets in the textbook, they say the risk-free rate is 5%. Let's do this calculation, right?
Hmm.
Now, you go to a job interview, and the interviewer says, so where are the rates today? And you might be kind of offended. I mean, well, this is a trivia question. What I'm supposed to know? Tables of rates and whatnot. I mean, I want to tell you about this and that. If you give this attitude to the employer, he's going to say something like, dude, I do not sleep at night because of those interest rates. And you
Yeah.
come to me, want to work with me and say, I don't care, it's just a number. No, it is a number. There's a whole story behind those interest rates. That's what we are trying to make sure that our students are not in that situation. It's not that hard. Actually, we have this trading room. We have all these resources in trading room. We are using them in our classrooms, but also have access to Financial Times, to The Economist, to Wall Street Journal, to the Bloomberg.com, which is available to every student, and we encourage them to use them. I mean, studying, learning is not only about taking some class and passing some exams. It's also about, you know, learning the trade. Finance is a blend of science like physics and a blend of practical skills. Always economics and finance had that physics envy. They try to be like physics. You have a few general principles and derive everything for that. Well, it doesn't quite work in finance. Finance is also a social science to a certain extent. If you think something is going to happen, probably it's going to happen. You can talk yourself into a
Hmm.
recession by just believing that things are going to get worse. So it's this thing that, yes, you learn some basic concepts, but also you have to work and just listen to the news and try to make sense of them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's incredibly important. And Florin, I think related to that, so you're talking about these hands-on experiences in academic spaces that allow you, as you're saying, to take it away from the textbook that maybe kind of generalizes and bring it into the real world and really engage with the data. And I've heard you talk about that often at the start of your classes, you'll start with something that's in the news or something that's like, here are the newest pieces of information from today. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit.
It's the freshest of case studies, right? You can have
Right.
a case study which was done 10 years ago, has been updated maybe a little bit, but still it's a little bit old, right? What if something happened right in the morning? There are so many things happening in finance that there is, you can easily find something which is applicable to the topic of the day. And again, we try to start our class with discussion about the markets, something that happened in the markets, having some general skills that would make the candidate handle his side in a conversation. You might say that what do you think about the markets? It's a pretty open question. You can say anything you want. Actually, there is no right answer. There should be always two answers. There's one person who says it's going to go up, somebody who believes it's going to go down. That's the nature of the market. But then you start talking about that question, right? And the employer in 2 or 3 minutes will know exactly what you know. Will put the hat on your head right away by the way you talk about the markets. There's the type of open-end question where there is no right answer, and then it's very revealing at the same time. So and there's no preparation. I mean, you look all the things that are going on in the industry right now. There is no textbook for
Yeah.
this. You have to use the experience, what you learned in the past, and make a judgment. When you go to a company, there's not going to be an absolute, uh, you know, expert system. They're going to tell you what to do. And even if you had Nobel Prize winners in economics in your team, they would still not be able to tell you what to do. At a certain point, you have to make a judgment based on your accumulated experience. You know, it's an educated guess and whatnot. That's the nature, and I'd say the beauty of finance. Now, you all agree that predicting when the tides are going to come in and go out. Yeah, I'm talking because we are in Boston, close to the sea and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. You don't have to know the phases of the moon, the distances, the dynamics of Earth and whatnot. Are people very exciting about that? Probably not. I mean, there are a few people who know the calculations and they are done and nobody talks about it. If I'm really curious when the tide comes in, I'm just going to check something on the app and that's it, right? Finance is not like that. Nobody has the precise answer. And you still have to make this decision on uncertainty. And that's quite important why we put an emphasis on learning from the market and learning from the news in addition to just going through the textbook. Everybody can
Yeah.
have access to the textbook, right?
Absolutely. Florin, I want to go back to this idea of the sorting hat, which is just cracking me up, that that's our metaphor for today, but that students throughout their time, they're getting exposed to all these amazing things. They're doing hands-on work. They're getting the latest, and having these incredible discussions around judgment, as you're describing. And then they need to decide what they want to do after their time here. And I'd love for you to help us understand. You've spoken a little to this, that there's different profiles of people that might suit many different roles. How do students kind of make that determination typically in your mind? And kind of give us the lay of the land on the types of roles within the field of finance that our students tend to go towards. And also, if I can ask you one last question, because I've now asked you eight in 1 second, tell me a little bit why Boston, as a backdrop for their degree, is either important or not important in that kind of navigation.
I mean, we have students who come in um, and don't know what to do. They said, well, I want to come into finance. I think it would be interesting for me. I mean, teach me something. And they start taking classes and gradually they discover what they're good at and what's the direction they want to follow. we have students who come in and says, "Oh, I want to be an investment banker." Well, it's
Mm,
good to be an investment banker, but not everybody can be an investment banker. And by the way, you know, don't get driven. I tell, and many of my colleagues are telling them, do not get driven by what you read somewhere in some statistic that's the best paid jobs. The best job for some person is the job you are naturally made for.
mm,
uh, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you are successful, you can grow in your job, you're going to raise to the top. It doesn't,
mm,
you don't have to pick up something which is in fashion uh, at, at a certain point in time. So I always encourage my students to actually really find what's their niche, what's their strength, and nurture that thing rather than just try to force themselves into what they believe it might be the best job opportunities. It turns out that actually not the investment bankers are making most of the money in mergers and acquisitions. It's actually the lawyers who are making most of the money. You see, go figure. But again, it happened to me. I remember when I was much younger and I wanted to be an equity analyst on the sell side. And I've been on the sell side, that means working for investment bank and writing these reports and trying to move the markets and being on TV and, being the axe on the stock and whatnot. And I was quite young, and I thought that was the coolest thing to do. And being on the buy side, actually buying things is boring. Frankly, I was telling you, when was finishing business
mm.
school, I was finished the PhD in the business school, I thought that was totally boring. And I had headhunters who were telling me, "Hey, Florian, I do not see you as an sell side analyst. I see you as a money manager." Right? And life actually pushed me in that direction because that's my nature. I'm not the type of extrovert person to be in your face, being on TV and moving markets and whatnot. I'm not. I'm just sitting in the background, doing my number crunching and trying to understand how the world works. That's who I am, right? And we
Yeah.
encourage everyone to discover um, who they are, and there is enough flexibility. There are students who start on one track and says, "I want to change." Okay, fine, you change. I have students who I can give you an example. There are a couple of students who actually found jobs in wealth management
Mm,
without having a lot of background and classes taken in wealth management. So let's say student who had one semester left, they already got an offer in wealth management, probably because of their personality, probably because of their nationality, their connections and whatnot. And they come to me and says, "Look, I am trying to take classes in wealth management. Help me." It's even though it's not exactly on my track, so I'll do my best to let them be prepared. The goal of the school is to help students get a job. I'm not going to just be pigeonholed by some strict rules. I cannot allow a student to do that, even if because they just found a job in that field. In terms of Boston, right? There are different cities that are known for different things. I mean, Boston is mostly known as a buy side
mm,
institution. So these are the big investment firms like Fidelity, like Wellington, like State Street, like Delaware Investments, and many others who are actually sitting on huge piles of money and investing those money. And we get interact with them. Naturally, our graduates find jobs with them. We get teachers from them. I just mentioned the two retired portfolio managers from Fidelity. We have also interactions. We have uh, teachers who are not yet retired and teach one class to see how it is. Maybe they get the taste of teaching, and we encourage them to come and teach for us later. So that's the hub. That's what's going on in Boston. Another thing that it's going in Boston, we are actually on very close to Route 128, right, which is known for startups, technology, and whatnot. There we have students who go into all these technology firms that are around Boston, the Route 128. And obviously, we have a very strong biotech and medical. We have very prestigious institutions. Um, um, Brigham, Beth Israel in the area, and some of our students and some of their programs cater to that demand as well. So we are um, very much attuned to what's going on in Boston, and by nature of things, we most of our graduates go in this area. But of course, we have global alumni as well, all over the world, all over the country, in a variety of fields.
Awesome. Let me, Florin, ask you one last question, and then we'll transition to some conversation about how to apply if folks are compelled by this amazing conversation. I know often students ask us, what makes a really good student at Bentley in the MSF? Do I look like they want to understand, will I fit in, and will I be well prepared for my career? I think we've answered the career piece. I'm curious if there's any qualities of our students that you think make them particularly successful in the program, or qualities, I'm sure, because I know there's a diverse group of folks, but I'm curious from your perspective, who thrives in our program?
Say it's essential an interest in finance. Do not care much about the background, right? It's the interest in finance. Because as I said, even somebody with a background in totally liberal arts, they, let's say they studied the Greek classics, right? Okay, or Shakespeare. Fine.
Mhm.
You say, what's the connection with bonds and stocks? Well, you learn about people. You learn how they react. You learn about how they make decision under uncertainty. That's the key. If you have a passion and interest in finance, we'll teach you, right? What we cannot do is if you're not interested in the topic and you say it's just one thing. I would say the star students are those maybe who already started working on the CFA, right? Like
Mm,
on the chartered financial analyst, or are already somewhere in the industry. They are doing good work, but they also need the credentials. They can work part-time, right? They can work full-time and take these classes part-time up to 5 years. You can extend them. And that's a good combination for us in the sense that they blend this. They bring their own experience. They interact with our students. They are a good discussion partner in class. You can ask about things, how they see things. You can ask plainly professional um, uh, questions. I had a great discussion a couple of days ago with a candidate, and we talked about other things, why the curve for oil is in backwardation and how long
mm,
it's going to be, right? It's the shape of the futures curve. And you can talk about all sorts of things. If you have students with that already working industry, but again, we're open to students from outside the industry who have this interest in finance. There are many flavors. We have people who have an engineering background, are really good with calculations and number crunching. We have people who maybe have a legal related background. Anything is good. There is plenty, we trust there is plenty of diversity in our programs in order to cater to different profiles and interests. So the key word is interest in the markets
great.
and a willingness to learn things and stay
Awesome.
in tune and learn a little bit more about the world.
Wonderful. Florin, thank you so much. I'm going to pass it to Gordon to talk a little bit about our application process. I will also remind all the wonderful folks on the line that if they have any questions that they want to ask, we have the Q&A feature ready, and we can always go back to Florin with lots of questions that folks have. But I was able to integrate a lot of the questions folks were sharing into the questions that Florin and I just went through. Gordon, I'd love to hear about the application process.
Excellent. No, thank you so much. And wow, what a great conversation, Emma and Professor Morrison, just fantastic. I've been at Bentley for a long time, and every time I get a chance to sit down with one of our program directors, I always learn a little something more. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. So just to talk a little bit about the application process, because now that hopefully everyone's had a little bit of time to kind of hear about this exciting program, we can get into that. And so here at Bentley University, we are completely understanding that financing your education can be a real challenge for a lot of people, or just people have questions. And so we're here to help. About 85% of students receive some level of merit aid here at the graduate school. And so it's a great opportunity to when you submit your application, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Currently, the cost per course is just around $6,000 per course, depending on the number of courses that you have, particularly within the Master's in Finance program. You're looking at somewhere between 10 and 14 courses to complete the entire degree. But I just want to emphasize that we do offer these merit-based scholarships that are available for our candidates. And these merit-based scholarships are based on the overall quality of your education. And so it's pretty simple. When you submit your application, and the application requirements are right here, there's going to be a question on there. And the question is, do you want to be considered for merit aid? I encourage everybody to say yes. You want to say yes to this because it's based on the quality of your application. And so in your application, we're going to take a look at your resume. We're going to take a look at your LinkedIn profile. So please make sure that both of these are up to date and current with all of your job responsibilities. We're going to take a look at one recommendation letter. This recommendation letter can be either professional or academic. Next, we're going to take a look at one essay. The essay is pretty short. It's between a minimum of 300 and a maximum of 500 words. There is also an optional personal statement if you wish to submit that in addition to the one essay. Next is the GRE or the GMAT. We are currently optional for the GRE or the GMAT. You do not need to submit this. However, we do encourage those candidates that maybe feel like they want to really emphasize a little bit more. Maybe they want to really stand out a little bit more in consideration for merit aid or anything like that, that you do consider the GMAT. However, it is optional. And if you're not quite sure how your profile fits, you can also reach out to us via email at applygrad@bentley.edu. I'll put that in the chat here in just a second. For my international students, and I do see that I have some international students on with us today, thank you for joining us. We do require an English language test if you did complete your entire degree in a foreign language. We accept the TOEFL, we accept the IELTS, and we accept Duolingo as well. And we also accept the Pearson. And so finally, for our students, we're also going to take a look at a transcript. Your transcript does need to list all of the courses that you have taken, including your grades. Once again, for our international students, we will need to see an official evaluation of your transcripts. This means that they need to translate your credits and your grades from the educational standards in your country to the educational standards here in the USA. Typically, we're here in the US, it's a 4.0 standard, but you will need to get those translated over as part of the process. One of the questions I got from some of our other sessions is about the application fee. Right now, you can submit your application without a cost. So I do recommend that. You do not need a special code or anything like those. So if you're looking to apply for this fall of 2025, you can submit your application without a cost. So with that being said, here are the application dates. We are still taking applications from our international students. The final deadline is June 1st. However, I do encourage my international students, if they can get it in sooner than June 1st, I really would like you to do that. But the final deadline is June 1st if you're looking to start classes in September of 2025. For my domestic students here in the United States and those that are those international students that are here on an F1 already and looking to do a CVIS transfer, your final application deadline is August 1st. So you have a little bit more time. But once again, as I mentioned before, you really do want to make sure that you submit that application the sooner if you are able. And again, I did put in the chat here, if you have any questions about this, if you want to talk a little bit more, you can send us an email at applygrad@bentley.edu, or here you go, you can use these QR codes also. And so I do have some QR codes. You can set up an admissions consultation, the one right here in the middle. You can also speak with some of our student ambassadors. We have some great student ambassadors that are actually in the MSF program here that work with us, and you can talk with them about their own experience and talk to them about the classes that they're taking and maybe some of the different projects that they are working on. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on LinkedIn and connect with us there. And then for maybe some of those who are thinking about a master's degree, but maybe aren't quite ready yet to take that full leap, we do offer executive and professional education courses. These are short run courses. They're typically, anywhere from, 1 to 3 courses. Sometimes there are a couple of weekends. We have a lot of different options. So you can go ahead and you can take a look at our short-term programs as well with our executive and professional education courses. So with that being said, I do not see any questions that have popped up, but again, I can't encourage you all enough. Please reach out to us. We love to talk with candidates. That's what we live for here in the graduate admissions office, is talking with candidates and talking with you and answering your questions and helping you out. We really are all about that. So please reach out to us. Again, you can email us at applygrad@bentley.edu. You can scan the QR code here. You can go onto the website. We have tons of options there for you. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Appreciate your time. Emma, Florin, do either of you have a last word that you'd like to submit here before we wrap things up?
I think we've covered lots of great stuff. Thank you so much, Florin, and thanks, Gordon. And as Gordon said, the only thing I will double underline is that we'd love to talk to you. So if you have any thoughts, get in touch and we'd love to chat. Florin, anything on your mind?
I'll be brief. See you all in the fall.
Yeah, I love that. All right.
Excellent.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all so much, everybody. Bye-bye.